What's up, Copy Squad? It's your boy, Kyle Milligan of KyleTheWriter.com, and today we're going to talk about B2B copywriting sales strategy. All right, so getting into it, we're going to talk about, someone asked me about how to make B2B sales for copywriters, and they're kind of asking, like, do we do it differently than B2C, business to business, that is, instead of business to consumer? So that'd be like one business entity selling to another business entity. An example would be like a communications sort of business, say, for instance, like Zoom video, right, where you do these video conferences. They might want to sell directly to a business so that the entire business will adopt their program or something like that. So that'd be like a B2B sales strategy. And let me read this question really quick and give you some context. Do a video on B2B copywriting. Do you write to the business as a whole, treating it as a rational decision-making entity? Or do you appeal to the human emotions of a particular decision-maker within the company, or both? Hope this is a useful idea for you. This reader sent this to me because I'm always complaining about how difficult it is to come up with content every single day. So I appreciate the idea here. So some people might know already what I'm going to say, and I'm going to default to the emotions. That's what I preach, right? The big four emotions: new, easy, safe, and big. And I'll explain why in just a second. Before I do, if you want to learn how to trigger these emotions, new, easy, safe, and big, in your copywriting or your sales or marketing, you should definitely check out my book. It's called Take Their Money. It's at KyleTheWriter.com/book. And I'll be explaining to you how I'll handle this, and you'll kind of see why that book will be so useful. Because nobody makes decisions based on logic, ever. And there was, kind of jumping into this book. So the first part of the question, do you treat it as a rational decision-making entity? The answer, flat out, like shortly, is no. There is no such thing as rational decision-making, and I'll explain how you can influence that and why that matters. So I can't remember the book, but there was one example in particular I wanted to give you guys, and it might have been from Blair Warren's book called Forbidden Keys to Persuasion, which is like one of my favorite persuasion books of all time. But it's like a super hard to find book. He sells it off his website directly, just like I do. Like, you can't find it on Amazon, so you've got to Google search that one. Forbidden Keys to Persuasion. Really a good book. Close second to mine. I'm kidding. His book is amazing. But yeah, so in that book, he talks about, I'm pretty sure in that book he talks about these people who are making these business decisions with no real rationale behind it. They're kind of just making, and one of the things he's talking about, like video recordings, and they didn't really have a goal or know what they were doing it for. They just thought they should do it, and I can't remember why. But the point is, in every business, okay, the bigger the business gets, it's almost like the less rational its decision-making process becomes. Instead, what you have now are like, the larger the business, the more middle managers exist. And you'll find that as you get like higher levels of middle managers, and this is a broad strokes statement, right? This is like I'm painting with a big paintbrush right here. But those people are, those classic 9-to-5 middle managers live to kind of serve their interests. So you'll find like businesses will be operating with KPIs, key performance indicators, that don't actually make a lot of sense. And I can't remember, I read too many books to give you like specific examples that I want to. It might have been in the book Extreme Ownership with the Navy SEALs, Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. That book might have been about, like, basically about leadership, and I can't remember if that was the one. I might have to stop just quoting books. I'll just tell you a bunch of cool books to read. But they're talking about, like, people are just pursuing these weird KPIs, these like things that don't really move the business. They're actually irrational KPIs, but because that's what the top decision makers in a room of board of directors want to see, they actually try to inflate those numbers, even though it doesn't really drive the business. So from the outside looking in, it is totally irrational. It doesn't actually help grow the business or move it in the right direction. All of these things I'm saying, and I wish I'd had like better laid out examples for you. All of this to say that treating anything, like whenever you're speaking person to person, yes, you're making an emotional sale. You're triggering the big four emotions: new, easy, safe, and big, compelling them to action. It's almost more irrational in big businesses because you have no idea what the hell it is they're trying to accomplish. And a lot of times, if you try to use logic from the outside looking in, you'll find out that you're wrong. And you have oftentimes like a middle manager who will be like someone who is struggling for power, struggling to keep their position, struggling to have certain metrics be hit, and they don't make much rational sense on the surface. But this is how the big company wants to see, like on their pie charts and their graphs, they want to see that number go up. So to try to treat it as a rational model is a very dangerous thing to do. I think in any case, if you're ever selling on logic, you're going to lose. If you ever sell on logic, you're going to lose. And the guy who comes in and knows how to trigger the emotions is going to win. All right? That's why people love to get angry at hypey marketers, right? People love to hate on, oh, that's all hype. Dude, it's not hype. It is intelligent. Because the intelligent people know that people make decisions based on emotion, and then they justify those things on logic. And if you can figure out how to play and trigger those emotions, you will get more sales. So a lot of times you'll see these hypey marketers, they're playing a character. I think it was Tai Lopez who either said it. All my examples today suck, don't they? Tai Lopez either said it, or I heard someone say it of Tai Lopez, was that like very few people were paying any attention to me until I put the Lamborghinis in the background. Then all of a sudden people were listening. Now all of a sudden I'm like this hypey marketer. I don't know if he said that or someone said that of him. But it's like, can you fault him now for doing that if it works? If he has the exact same product, the exact same message, and at one moment it doesn't sell, and then all of a sudden I put this car behind me and it does sell, is it not the intelligent thing to do to have more of those cars in the background? Sure, people are going to take a quick look at it and be like, what a scam artist. This is all hype. I don't approve. I'm better than this guy. But he wasn't making any sales before, so what does logic say you should do, right? The rational thing to do would be to use the emotional triggers and stuff like that. So let's talk about business-to-business stuff again. So here, let me give you like a sales strategy, okay? Business-to-business sales strategy. I worked in business development at a B2B company once, and we had a very specific sales strategy that ties closely to what I'm talking about here, where we did not treat it as necessarily the rational model per se. Instead, when I first started there, we were doing, it changed like in the very few months that I was there, but we started with a very research intensive model. And what we would do is we would try to figure out the decision maker, right? Say, okay, so that's what we would do at our company that I was working at. First off, we would find the person, right? So whenever we're selling B2C, we have a customer avatar. It's the same thing in B2B. Who's your customer avatar? I stress research to death on this channel, because once you know who you're selling to, this is Grandpa Kurt, by the way, if you're new to the channel. This is our customer avatar for Agora Financial. This guy is about 50 to 60 years old, has some money in retirement, he needs a lot more fast. So that's our customer avatar. It's the same thing with B2B, except you might want to get even more sophisticated with it because it's higher stakes in B2B and you can make more money and more people are taking bigger risks when it comes to these big B2B investments. So what we would do, and what I think is the smart way to do it, is figure out your decision maker, right? So fine, figure out your decision maker. What's their role for your particular service? You might have to talk to you might think you need to talk to the CEO, but you need to talk to the CFO or the COO, right? So let's do some research into the company and try to figure out what everybody's doing. Maybe look at the LinkedIn and see what kind of decisions they make. Might be a small company, might be like a mom and pop shop with only like 2 or 3 guys and one of them's a real decision maker. But figure out what their goal is, okay? So the bigger the business, the more easily you can probably access this information. So for instance, they may be asking or looking for investors. So they may have like an investors tab on their website that say, our goals for 2019 are X, Y, and Z. Okay, so now they've already told you what they want to do. Okay, so when I tell you I had a sales job, I've been in B2C sales and I've been in B2B sales. When I had a B2C sales job, I'd get people on the phone and I'd say, hey, what did you like about your last service? What did you hate? What's like the one thing you could have? And what are like your technical requirements? Whatever they'd say, I just say it back to them. Same thing with B2B. Go to their like investor page or go to their LinkedIn, see what their blog posts or whatever say their goals are for 2019. For this vertical of business, we want to achieve this. Well, that's the pain point, right? That's the benefit. That's the value you can deliver. Now you say, hey, buddy, I don't know if you have a professional copywriter on staff or whatever, but did you know that this could actually help you achieve XYZ goal by doing this kind of marketing, right? So I have just gone straight for the personal. I didn't treat it as a rational decision-making model of a business. I treated it like a person. And I went in like that. I conveyed a benefit, and I conveyed that I am an expert who can help you with this. And that triggers the new and only emotion. New, easy, safe, and big. New and only are a pair. Easy and anybody is a pair. Safe and predictable is a pair. Big and fast are a pair. I go into mad depth in my book, Take Their Money, at kylethewriter.com/book. But let me repeat again, if you try to treat any sale as a rational decision-making model, you will lose. And if I could have like one of those computer memories, I just know that for a fact because I've read so many different things where companies make crazy irrational decisions, and because they want to hit certain metrics, or because a certain middle manager wants to stay in his job and not get fired, or someone's fighting for power. It's almost more chaotic, more irrational, the bigger the company gets, right? And you would think it'd be the opposite. You think they would do everything very calculated and measured. No, dude, it's usually due to like one person, the decision maker. It's usually due to one person's very personal goals and their quest for whatever it is that they're trying to achieve at their career. And if you can figure out, you can put a name to that goal. That is, find like a blog post, or this guy goes on medium.com and he writes up his thoughts, or he goes on linkedin.com and he does little articles about his thoughts and his goals for that year. I would take that. That is research, baby. That is research. The writing is in the research. You are not supposed to be like a brilliant, clever writer who can just come in with these words and like move people's brains to do what you want. The real trick is the research. I figure out what they want. If it's B2C, I just ask them on the phone. If it's B2B and I don't have that kind of access to them, I figure out where they've said it on Twitter. I figure out where they've posted it on LinkedIn, and I figure out if they've got an account on Medium where they talk about all their goals and values. And then I know what to say back to them. But at the end of the day, I'm speaking ultimately to one guy. Do not treat it like a rational. If you ever try to sell on logic, you're going to lose. You're usually speaking to a person, and I know from science people are irrational. So, some other stuff for you. We talked about this. One of my favorite pieces of evidence I recently found was, I can never remember this guy's name. It's a neuroscientist. He figured out that if your emotional part of your brain is damaged, you're incapable of making decisions. Human beings make decisions, right? And you're not speaking to a computer when you're selling B2B sales. You're talking to a person on the other end of the phone. You are always persuading. You're talking to a person, a gatekeeper potentially, or hopefully the decision maker, and you need to strike a chord with their emotions, get them riled up, right? Because they may have to go up. They might have to hang up the phone and then go to the guy above them and convince that person that this is a winner. So you need to figure out, like, what are that person's goals? And if you can get him on the phone somehow, like write him a little email and say, look, I read on your LinkedIn profile that in 2019, you wanted to do 100 million sales in widgets. Well, I actually have a strategy that's perfect for you in accomplishing this goal. I would love to get on the phone and talk to you about it. Here's my credibility so that you can trigger the safe emotion, right? Here's my credibility, here's my track record, here's some of the people I've worked with previously, and here's a couple testimonials just for kicks, right? I think I can help you in much the same way. Please get back to me as soon as possible. I'd love to get started immediately. I'm totally psyched up to help you achieve your 100,000 widgets goal, right? That guy is going to be super psyched to work with you. He's like, oh shit, this dude knows exactly what I'm looking for, and he said he'll do it for me. Easy, new, easy, safe, and big, right? Easy. He's going to do it for me. He's an expert. So new and only is triggered. I'm an expert. I'm going to do the work for you. I've got credibility and a track record, and this is going to make a world of difference in your business. New, easy, safe, and big. Again, I go into those four emotions in my book, Take Their Money. It's at kylethewriter.com/book. Let me reiterate once again for those folks who are just tuning in. We're talking about B2B copywriting sales strategies, and that the major lesson, the final verdict is, if you ever try to sell on logic, you're going to lose. And every time I say that, like I have faint examples in my brain of things that I've read somewhere of just like how bad it gets with middle management. I just can't pull them to the front of my brain right now. I think it's because the camera's on me. I feel on the spot. If I got any questions, now's the time to drop them. Maybe there aren't a lot of B2B marketers in here because I don't have a lot of engagement on this one. But yeah, let's kind of recap here. For a B2B marketing strategy, it comes back to the same thing that it always comes back to, which is do the research. The research is 70% of the copywriting. It isn't being like a brilliant, like empathetic person. No, it's knowing that people all have like individual goals, desires, dreams, and wants. Once you know what that is, like I told you, if the goal is simply to sell 100,000 widgets, that's good. But it's fantastic if I can say, okay, I can help you with that. Let me weave in my new, easy, safe, and big. And how do we do that? I'm the expert, okay? I am a brand new solution for you that you've never come across before, and I am a specialist. I'm going to do all the work for you. You don't have to do shit. It's easy. Just hire me, and boom, results. You're going to look like a star in front of your peers. Your bosses are going to love you. You're going to be promoted in no time. You're going to be sitting on the beach, sipping those fruity drinks and chilling in your bathing suit, living the life. Okay, that's easy. Safe. And you can count on me because I have this incredible track record. I've been in sales for 10 years. I've worked with other clients just like you. Here's my track record. Here's my portfolio. And here are some testimonials. And it's going to make a monstrous difference. Big. It's going to make a monstrous difference very quickly. It'll take you from A to Z in as little as 1 month. You can see your goal be reached. If you wanted to do it in the year of 2019, well, how about we do it by May? All right, or your money back. That's safety as well. Something like that. I don't think you want to do a guarantee, but maybe you throw something like that in there, you see? And again, we're talking to a person. There is no such thing as rational decision making. It frankly doesn't exist. That's a myth made up by the gods. That's a line from God of War. I just finished that game a couple days ago. That was a fantastic game. God of War is amazing. Just check it out. Saad says, how do you sell yourself as a new copywriter? I can't trigger the safe emotion in my pitch. Is the big emotion enough? This assumes I know more about Facebook ads than my customer. Okay, first off, you need to drop that can't do attitude immediately. Don't say I can't trigger the safe emotion. That's it's incorrect, sir. It's incorrect. Okay, so how do you sell yourself as a new copywriter? I mean, sell something. Like, for instance, I told you I was in sales for 10 years. That doesn't mean I'm a good copywriter, right? So, I mean, it insinuates I'm a good copywriter. It insinuates, it infers that I'm really great at sales. But let's say I actually have just begun copywriting. But I tell you, hey, man, I've got 10 years of sales experience, B2B and B2C, right? That's anything. Anything that you can pull in to lend credibility should be used. Like, anybody you've worked with, boom. So I've worked with, okay, let's say you've worked in Best Buy as a sales guy, right? Like, Best Buy is this giant electronics company, and I'm pretty sure they're global, but they're definitely here in the United States. And the guys in there just basically say, hey, can I help you, sir? Okay. That is sales experience working at a Fortune 500 company. Best Buy is Fortune 500, right? But you don't necessarily have to say, I was just a retail boy at Best Buy. You got to dress yourself up, all right? Obviously, you don't want to come in and make up testimonials. You do not want to make up case studies. You don't want to make stuff up. But you definitely don't want to sell yourself short. Like, you've had training from a professional sales organization, right? Do whatever you can. Dig through your resume. Just research yourself, man. At what point in your life have you sold anything? Like, I wouldn't say I watch all of Kyle Milligan's videos on Facebook. That's not like a certification or anything like that. But there's been a point in your life where you've probably had to sell something to somebody, and you've probably had like some sort of sales job. Anything you can do to lend to the fact that you know how to sell. All right, I have a degree in psychology. Okay, I can maybe spin that into saying like I am a student of the psychology game, and I understand how to trigger the emotions of sales. As a 4-year graduate, undergrad student of psychology or something. I don't know, like, do whatever you have to do. Find something, man. Don't say you can't trigger the safe emotion. Anyone watching, don't ever say you can't trigger like one of these 4 emotions. It might be difficult, and maybe you want to lean more heavily on some other ones, but there is a way. Like, And again, you can do it without lying. And you can do it without like making stuff up or being a shady person or anything like that. There's completely legitimate ways to do it. And everyone's going to be unique, right? Find something in your history that lends itself in some capacity. For instance, these books, all these books on this bookshelf behind me, that got me the job at Agora. I told him like 3 things. I told him I read everything. There's a yellow book. I can see the spine. Look, I'm touching it. That's an SEO book. My girlfriend got me an SEO book, search engine optimization book, for Christmas or my birthday. I put that in my email to Joe Strafer. I said, Joe, I read a lot. I read everything from psychology to sales, persuasion, and guess what? My girlfriend even bought me a How to SEO book for Christmas. That's how big of a reader and consumer of information that I am. How the hell does my SEO book have anything to do with copywriting? Nothing. But it makes me a curious individual who constantly reads and researches and learns new information, and that might have been something that got me the job and I don't even realize it. So there is something in your past or history or your makeup, your resume, whatever you want to call it, that lends itself to you being better at your job. And again, that's part of that's the skill of copywriting. The skill is not in the writing itself, because the research does the writing for you. The research is 70%, I'll say 60 to 70% of the writing. Just find out what they want to hear and then say it to them. The spin of what should seem like innocuous information into something persuasive, that's the language of copywriting. It's where you take a simple piece of information. Like if I said, Kyle, you have to get a job as a copywriter, and the only thing you've got going for you is you read an SEO book, right? Like how does that link up? Well, you got to figure out a way to spin new, easy, safe, and big into it somehow. You got to figure out a way to make that seem very appealing. And like I say, hey man, if you're worried about me taking a day off, hell no, I read all day, every day. I mean, that's safety right there. Like I am intrinsically motivated to read boring stuff. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to make me read. You don't have to make me do research. I will just go do it. That's easy, right? Take a load off, Joe Strafer, publisher of Agora Financial. I'm going to do all the hard work for you. You don't have to make me research. I've already read all the books. Like stuff like that, man. You have to take it and spin new, easy, safe, and big into it, and you will be successful. That's your goal. Your goal is not to be like a very creative writer. Your goal is to take innocuous information that means nothing on paper and make it appealing. That's the skill. All right? So, Zeth says, very informative way of putting it, Kyle. You sparked an aha moment for me. Thank you, thank you. Zeth, thanks for tuning in. Glad you found this very helpful. I think I'm going to sign off if I don't have any other comments or questions. At the end of the day, anyone playing to logic is going to lose the sales game. And you're going to lose it to a more intelligent marketer who plays the hype game. Okay? And everyone out there who complains about hypey marketers, they are complaining because they're not making sales, and they're sitting on the sidelines watching the winners pop champagne and drive nice cars and live in nice fancy houses, and they're bitter. Now, it's not wrong to use emotion to sell. It is, in fact, the logical thing to do. So people who are trying to sell on logic are illogical themselves. The way to make sales is to trigger the decision-making part of your brain, which science has proven is the emotional part of your brain. Your brain first makes decisions based on gut intuitions, which is basically that hype stuff, that want, that desire that someone who knows how to stir it up will stir up inside you. And you've already made that decision. You are motivated, right? My friend said years back he watched an entire Tai Lopez video, and he's like, that's what you do for a living, isn't it? You write those advertisements. And I was like, yes. And he was like, I just wanted it so bad. I was just waiting for him to like tell me the secret. I just want to know the secret. That's what a smart marketer does. They stir that desire. You are motivated to hear what you're hearing. Like you want it to be true, and you want it to be the secret. It is an inspiration for you. It is the spark of hope that drives you forward, and you are already sold. As long as they can like overcome some of your logical objections. That's what it is. Like you're emotionally already in there, man. You are sold, and your logic is just like got some roadblocks that says, hey man, if I hear you, emotion, you really want to do this thing and you're really motivated to try it, but I've got like one or two things that, man, if you can't check off these two things, we can't do it. The logic's like the brake pedal. And as soon as you as a copywriter can overcome these, usually in the form of new, easy, safe, and big, all right? That stirs up that emotion, and at the same time, it satisfies your logical objections. Because, hey, this is safe, dude. Hey, this is easy. Hey, it's going to make a big impact. And hey, this is brand new. You've never seen it before. This is the hope that you need. And that's why new is number one, and it's non-negotiable. And when I say new, it doesn't mean it has to come out of yesterday. It just has to be a new solution that this person hasn't heard of. If I tell you muscle confusion will make you ripped and give you six-pack abs, and this is the first time you've ever heard of muscle confusion was today, it doesn't matter if it came out 10 years ago. It matters that it is new to you. It is a new opportunity to get those six-pack abs where everything else has failed you. New is number one. So it has to be some sort of like new strategy or solution this person has not considered before. Then, whenever you wrap easy, safe, and big in there, they're logically there, man. They're sold. You satisfied, you've got them riled up with the new and the hope, and you stirred that desire, and then you bing, bang, boom, logic it out. At the end of the day, people selling on straight up logic, nuts and bolts, pros and cons, etc., science says, and I'm saying it, you're going to lose to a more savvy marketer who knows how to rile up those emotions, right? And everyone else who's complaining about those savvy, here I go, I'm starting talking circles, I always do this, and everyone who's complaining about those hype marketers are complaining because they're not getting sales, and they're mad at these dudes who make it look so easy, and all they've done is they figured it out. They're like, oh, you just got to get them hyped up. You got to get them excited. You have to stir up that desire or they won't buy. So again, people selling on logic are the illogical ones. The only intelligent thing to do is to sell to the decision-making center of your brain, the emotional center of your brain. And if you want to learn how to speak the language of copywriting, which is a language that sells directly to the emotional center and bypasses all this logic junk that doesn't get you sales, read my book. It's called Take Their Money. It's at kylethewriter.com/book. It'll teach you how to write the words that may really make you rich. All right. And I also have a research upsell on there. And I have harped on research this whole video and not pitched my research videos. But at the bottom of the sales page on kylethewriter.com/book, you can find 6 research videos that will teach you how to do research on your customer, on your gadget or your product, and on your brand or personality that you're trying to sell, and how to really deep dive on that and make it very sellable. Okay, even if you think it's boring and you think it's bland, and you don't think it'll sell, check out those research videos and it'll change your mind. That's all I've got for you today. All right, Saad says character-based safety. This is a great answer. Thanks. Yeah, dude, you can always find a way to trigger those emotions. You just got to think critically sometimes. That's your skill. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, Copy Squad. That's all I've got for today. Peace out.